Hi, welcome to Hospitality Live with Rupesh. Each week, we feature an industry leader that will share the latest trends and the best strategies to help you grow. Now, welcome your host, Rupesh Patel.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, guys. Let me get this off. Hey guys, comment. Let us know where you're watching from. I am live. Let me pull this off real quick. Can you hear me? Can you hear me right now? Jeremy, can you hear me? All right, guys, welcome to the show. Guys, this is episode number 47. We're almost there. 47 weeks. I can't believe we've been doing this 47 weeks in a row. Through the pandemic, through the holidays, we kept going every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. I've been so the night before I get a guest on, or the day of I get a guest on like 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's been like all over the place. And I'm sure you understand too, as we all go through the struggle and the challenges and all the different things that we're doing in our lives to keep going, right? And guys, this episode is number 47, Road to Recovery, how to market and position your hotel brand to get more bookings. And yes, the last few episodes, you've noticed that I have been focused on getting more bookings, and that's what I am or we're all interested in, and really growing ourselves too. So I talk about mindset, I talk about hospitality operations, I talk about sales, marketing, and I always go back to marketing because it's always like the thing that you need to learn when you're doing any business, especially the hotel business. So I'm super excited about today's episodes because you're going to learn about how to uniquely position your hotel. You're going to learn different ways to define your core values and principles so you can have a better culture and a great brand. And you're also going to discover and better understand your guests. Guys, let us know where you're watching from because we are giving away our featured guests book. I have a copy myself right here, and it has a bunch of Post-it notes in there because I'm going to share some of these insights with you, and so is Jeremy. But yeah, I'm super excited about today's episode. And guys, let us know where you're. Let me see if I can get the comments in real quick. See, guys, comment. Let us know where you're watching from, and I'm gonna post those up right here. All right, so we got India, we got North Carolina, we got Daytona, Houston, Texas, Orlando, Ottawa, Maryland, Miami, Michigan, Orlando, New York, Colorado, Jamaica, Galapagos. Wow. Alpharetta, Georgia, Austin, Texas, Maryland, Poland. Wow, first time in Poland, I think. Welcome to the show. Good morning, New York. Good morning to everybody. Jersey, yay. Texas, South Carolina, Vietnam. I think this is a first. I think this is a first for me. Vietnam. Wow, this is amazing. Guys, welcome all to the show. If this is your first time, we do this every week right here on LinkedIn, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, Miami time, New York time, and we bring on amazing people that are going to share some great tips, ideas, strategies, mindset. I mean, it's all over the place, but guys, today's topic is going to be amazing because it's going to help you get more bookings. It's going to properly position you locally. And let's see, where else? Poland, Verona. Guys, all welcome to the show. I am super excited about this episode. And guys, this episode is, let me bring this up real quick. This episode is brought to you by smartguests.com. And let me take that banner off so you can see my featured sponsor. So today's sponsor is smartguests.com. Guys, bookmark this page right now, smartguests.com, because it's my company. My company's been sponsoring this for now 5 or 6 weeks, and it's a website that we actually support over 4,300 plus now, 4,300 hotels. We offer creative hotel tools, operation, marketing, sales, customer service. I mean, it's all over the place. And now with this coronavirus and the virus, you're able to properly separate and communicate by these tools that we offer. Even simple things like the floor decal that you need for your hotel, so you could tell guests to stand 6 feet apart or 10 feet apart. Also, there's a thing that we're giving away free. It's a door sign. So if your city already hasn't mandated it, it's coming. that, and you want to feel good, and your employees and your staff want to feel good about being safe at our property, that we require all guests to wear a mask before they entering the lobby, right? And socially distance themselves. Well, we noticed that people weren't doing that if we didn't put this sign up that said masks required, and it's helped out. And I actually, we put it up last week, and I talked about it on Wednesday last week, and you can download it free right now on smartguests.com. But it's made a huge difference. Now more guests are looking at the sign saying, oh, and they go back to their car or they back to the room and put a mask back on, because in the past we would say it's required by the city, but it didn't say anything about required to come in. And this has helped everybody feel safe. And so, guys, go to smartguests.com and yep, take a look at the website and see what can help your hotel improve customer service, operations, sales, marketing. It goes all far, right? So every week I talk about mindset. This week I'm talking about go with the flow. And what that means is go with the flow. I was dropping my son off. This is his first week at summer camp, and they're socially distancing at summer camp too. And they're wearing masks, and they're close to each other. They're being safe. And so we felt to, and he was saying, well, it's boring, and we do the same thing every year. It's not a lot of fun for half the day. I'm like, listen, sometimes you have to go with the flow. Does anybody agree with that? If you do agree, comment in the comments and let me know what you think, because sometimes, yeah, there are things that we do that we don't like to do, right? And sometimes you have to go with the flow and go with what's happening in the current moment, right? And that makes your life easier. It gives you a lot of reduces stress. And I feel like, sometimes if you just go with the flow, a lot of good things happen out of that. And so I told my son, I said, before I drop you off, just go with the flow. Sometimes you can't control everything. You don't want to control everything because you get stressed out, right? But if you just go with the flow, it helps out. And he came back like, oh, it was a great day, right? When I saw him at home on that Monday, and he's gone every single day since then. We dropped him off this morning at 8:30. And so sometimes you just have to go with the flow. Comment and let us know if you agree. And people are saying, yes, definitely agree. For sure. It's very important, especially right now, that we go with the flow, right? We go with what's happening, right? You can't control everything. And that's why, yeah, I agree. You kind of have to just enjoy it right at the moment. And then the second mindset that I have, let me share this real quick with you. Second mindset right here. Let me make sure it's right. It is, there you go. So I made this meme a couple of days ago, and it says a successful hotel leader is a great problem solver, right? You're not only trying to deal with guests and you're checking people in, checking people out, running your operations, but you also solve problems, right? And so, like, even a simple thing is like, if we're going to get a quote, and if there was a leak that's happening, or if there's, like, I'm just gonna give an example. If your water heater went out and now you had to figure it out yourself, because you don't have any support, right? You're going to call a few people. You're going to get this problem solved as quickly as possible, because you're losing revenue too, right? But I usually like to call 3 or 4 people, understand where they're going to come from, and then understand how fast they're going to come too. And so problem solving is a huge skill as a successful leader. Do you guys agree? I had over 100 or 200 people comment on this post, and I think 8,000 views on this. And I wanted to kind of understand what you think about leadership as far as being a problem solver. You're the leader there, so people are looking to you to solve some problems, right? And I think a really successful one does solve it solves issues, and they resolve it quickly, right? They don't wait. They don't wait around. They solve it real quick. And so that's my mindset this week. So go with the flow and be a problem solver, which is a huge mindset and focus when we're trying to run our business right now. Come up with multiple options. Come up with all these different things that could help you run your hotel properly, more efficiently, stress-free. I don't like being stressed out at work, and I try to reduce that stress by thinking through things, right? Thinking and making quick decisions. And they're not like awful decisions. They're quick decisions because we have a business to run, we have guests to satisfy, and we have our staff and our team to take care of too. So we make quick decisions, and I think a lot of you guys agree too. And people are saying yes. Good, guys, welcome. There's a lot of people on. Welcome to the show. And stay flexible. Yes, Jeffrey, you are right. Stay flexible. Don't get bent out of shape when things don't go right, right? And sometimes and often I make mistakes too, just like all of you guys do, right? And we have to accept them that we did make a mistake. And I don't like blaming people. Oh, I know I made that mistake. And then I blame somebody else. You run into that situation, and you might run into it right now at your hotel where people blame you, or you might blame somebody else. It's a mindset that you have to take, that be accountable for your actions, right? And I think that's powerful. All right, let's get on to the show. And by the way, guys, comment and let us know where you're watching from, and let us know if you want to win a free book. Win this book. It's Future Hospitality by Jeremy Wells. All right, our featured guest today, he is a author, and he's a partner and the chief brand officer at Longitude Branding for Hospitality. They only focus on hotels when it comes to branding. Welcome to the show, Jeremy Wells.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Hey, thanks so much for coming on. Let me get this. Hold on. Let me remove this off of my stream. All right. Now we can see each other better. All right, good. Hey, welcome to the show. You connected with me a few months ago, and I was like, man, I gotta understand what this guy's doing, and I love what you guys are doing as far as your work, and kind of tell me a little bit about your background, and for the folks that don't understand you and don't know your.
Yeah. Sorry, you broke up there a little bit. Sorry, you broke up there a little bit. Yeah, but a little bit about my background.
Did we lose you?
I think I'm here. Sorry. Technology. Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about your background and what you guys do.
Yeah. So at Longitude, Longitude was launched in 2010 by my business partner, Dustin Myers. And I joined as a partner a little over 2 years ago. And my background is in creative direction and user experience design. I have a lot of, right as the kind of the internet boom was hitting, I got into customer experience and user experience design for the digital marketplace, e-commerce, and things like that. And so I learned a lot about consumer behavior and why people make decisions and positioning for businesses and branding and whatnot. And so that was a majority of my career for the last probably 15 years. And about 2 years ago, Dustin and I had met probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And about 2 years ago, we started discussing what it would be like for us to join forces and kind of, take Longitude from where it was at, and kind of pivot it and take it to the next level. And so it was a great fit. We went through a lot of thought and intention behind that decision to partner. And over the last 2 years, we've been able to expand Longitude quite a bit, bringing on the types of clients we want to work with, be involved in projects that we're really excited about, really proud of. And like you said, we're a hospitality branding agency. We love the hospitality industry and all that entails. And even being a part of the community over the last, 3 or 4 months has just really been humbling. And, I've never personally worked even in a hotel. And so this industry is one that I'm still growing. My passion and my determination to help the industry is still growing, and to see the community come around each other, help, like you said, helping each other solve problems, going with the flow, taking the shirt off their own back and giving it to other people has just been really, really, really awesome. So we love the industry, and we're all in. And so that's just a little bit of background about myself and Longitude.
Awesome. So, all right, before we get into your book and before we get into some of these concepts, what's your favorite brand? I see that you have a few brands listed inside your book, and some great quotes by even the one of the kings of hospitality at the Hold on, I pulled it up at the Ritz-Carlton. What is your favorite brand?
Man, there's so many. I think one that a client of ours that we're working with that we really love. I just love their vision and their ethos and the style of their hotels. 21C Museum Hotels.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm personally an art fanatic as well, so I love art, and I'm a self-proclaimed artist at least. So I just love. I actually was down in Bentonville, Arkansas, visiting one of the properties this past weekend, and just the work that they're doing, the team that they have, and the culture that they built is really inspiring. And so that would probably be one that I really enjoy.
Guys, and real quick, I'm just making sure that our internet connection is working. Please comment. Let us know. Can you hear this right now? Can you see us too? I'm not sure if it's my internet or yours. I think it's mine. I always have internet issues. I don't know why. I always have internet issues. But guys, comment and let us know if you can see this and you're hearing this. All right, let's continue. So I like that you have a niched. It's kind of like independent, right? Is it a local franchise or is it independent one property? That
Um,
21C.
no, it's they have I think they have 8 locations I think right now, all throughout kind of the East and Midwest. So
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So people are saying we can hear you. Thank you guys. All right. So now I'm like freaking out over here back here, like looking at the comments like that. People are texting me like, we can't hear you. All right. So everyone says all good. We can hear you. Yes. All right. Thank you guys. All right. So let's talk about why hotels, restaurants, hospitality needs branding. And we'll talk about positioning and branding and what the differences are and kind of understand why we need that right now
yeah,
or
sure.
why we need it ever.
Yeah, so at Longitude, the way that we describe the word brand and branding, if you ask anybody in the industry what the word brand means, if you ask 10 different people, you're probably going to get 10 different answers. So the way that we like to define it is your brand is your reputation. And so just like Rupesh, you have a reputation in your, with all your connections, with all your friends, family, just as I have a reputation. It's the same for a business. It's the same for a hotel. We have a reputation in the marketplace that we need to take care of. We need to be responsible for, and we need to make decisions that are going to back up and build that reputation for us. And so, branding are all of the actions, intentional or unintentional, that help to influence that brand for our business. And so, what we do is, and why it's important for hotels is we help them define and clarify what are things that make them unique, how can they stand out in the marketplace, how can they operate as a business and a brand that's going to bolster their reputation in the marketplace and help their team culture. What are some guiding principles that will influence all the decisions that they make, everything from marketing, which is a clear brand initiative, as well as all the way to like operations and how you communicate with your team, how you communicate with the guest, um, what furniture and fixtures you pick, the architecture, the design, everything. And so the hospitality industry and restaurants and hotels, I think is really important to have a brand and a brand strategy, because more so than a lot of other businesses, it's very apparent if you have one or you don't have one, or if you're being intentional about it, or if you're not.
Right.
It comes through very clearly to the end user or the guest or the customer. So for us, that's really exciting, because that means we get to be involved throughout the process, through the entire, from concept all the way through launch, opening, and then after that, and helping to cultivate and build the brand continually. So it's just a really exciting industry to be involved with when we're talking branding. And so, yeah.
And then what's the difference between branding and positioning? Because I hear it all the time, and I think people are like kind of confused on what the difference is. Like, how do I position my property? How do I brand? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah. So positioning would be, basically finding out what makes you unique in your marketplace. And there's a lot of different ways and questions that you can ask yourself to figure that out. And there's also ways to ask your customers and your guests to figure that out as well. You can do market research in your area. You can look at comp set, people that are kind of competing with you. You can survey and poll your customers and ask them why they visit you, why they want to continue coming back and doing business with you. You can ask even your team, ask them things like, you know, what do you hear about us in the marketplace? What are we known for? And that's really what positioning comes down to, is what are you known for in the marketplace? If you kind of going back to we had talked before, like Ritz Carlton, what are they known for? They're known for exceptional guest experience, luxury experience, going above and beyond. What is, a brand like Super 8 or Comfort Inn and Suites known for? They're known for very budget friendly. They're known for easy, off the road access, for leisure travelers, people driving through, they're known for certain things. and neither one is good or bad. It's just that's their unique position in the market. That's their selling point, and you have to lean into that and understand that so that you can create messaging and marketing and push your team in the right direction to say, we're not trying to compete with, if you're a Comfort Inn and suite owner, you're not trying to compete with Ritz-Carlton down the road. You're
Yeah.
trying to understand your position and how to grow that and how to cultivate that and how to make that even better.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear a lot of hotel GMs or even owners, they want the entire pie, right? This is for independent. So the strategies we're talking about, they're for independent properties and branded properties. So guys, if you're part of a brand, this is going to help you too, because you have to understand that we are not trying to get the entire pie. We're trying to get our share, our fair share of it. That's why you look at a star report. That's why you're looking at these other reports to make sure that you get the fair share. But when it comes to messaging, you have to do the same thing. Like, you don't want to be attracting Ritz-Carlton or a higher end or a lower end guest, because it's not the right fit. And guess what? At the end of the day, it bites you. Like, guests are upset about something. Does anybody agree with that? Because I think a lot of owners and GMs don't understand that, and they kind of just go out there and market to everybody, and then all of a sudden they wasted all this money on marketing, and they wasted their time and effort, and they're kind of confused about the positioning part of the hotel, right? What can you share about that as far as kind of getting people to understand where they're coming from as far as what they offer?
Yeah. I mean, even in our industry, and in the digital marketing or branding agency industry, like, you always hear these words of, it's important to niche down, to find your niche, to focus your services. And so it's the exact same conversation for a hotel brand, whether it's independent hotel brand or a larger brand. And so, just like you said, it's important to know who your guest is. It's important to know what they care about. It's important to know, as you said, like looking at reports and the comp set, in your area. What can you deliver that's going to resonate with your ideal guest, and defining who that ideal guest is. And you want to let that influence a lot of your decisions. So, like, for instance, if you have a certain type of ideal guest, you might not do a lot of advertising on Instagram, because your ideal guest isn't even on Instagram. That's not the channel that they're on. They don't care about that. So you might shift to more listing advertising and things like that, OTAs and whatnot. And the messaging that you deliver to them is going to be very, very unique as well. So it's really just comes down to being comfortable. I mean, just as like people as individuals the whole message of getting comfortable in your own skin, getting comfortable with who you are, and being okay with that. It's the same thing for a hotel. You need to get comfortable with who you are, who you need to be to the marketplace, and just deliver always on that promise.
Good. Sorry, I think my internet's still going out. Do you hear me? Or do you hear me right now?
I hear you now. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. It's just like so spotty. I don't know. Like, all right. So everyone does need even if you have a brand, if you're part of a big brand, and you mentioned like a Super 8, hotels that maybe are a Super 8. I own a Super 8 actually, and we don't, as far as marketing and branding, we don't need to be on Instagram and all these different social media channels, because we know that this is a clean and an affordable hotel room, right? They're not looking for like beautiful pictures, and they're like thinking about their vacation, especially if you're in like a roadside hotel or a motel, right? And I feel like uh, a lot of people get confused. GMs, owners, operators get confused about they need to be all over the place. They need to be on every single social media channel, right? We really need to focus when it comes to positioning on the different channels. So yeah, you should have an Instagram page just so for marketing, just for SEO, but it doesn't have to be like you have to post every single day, right? And do you recommend, like, as far as social, since you guys do offer social media services, that pick a few channels and really focus on those instead of being across everything?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's dependent on the brand, but I mean, in general, we do that through our processes, kind of defining what channels are going to be important to the brand, based on who their ideal guest is. And so, we're all about, just making the most out of your efforts, and spending your effort and time and money wisely. So, yeah, we definitely recommend, like you said, a Super 8 hotel might not need a huge presence on Instagram or TikTok or any other of the social media platforms, but they might need a lot of presence on Facebook or other listings. So, and like you said, I think it's important if a Super 8 hotel, a GM there or someone who runs that property is too scattered in their focus, they'll often miss opportunities too, or they'll be spending so much time trying to focus on their energies and time and putting out fires or doing other things that aren't important. And oftentimes, what a brand strategy does for a business is it not only informs what they should be doing, but even oftentimes more importantly, it informs them to what they shouldn't be doing and shouldn't be focusing on. And
Yeah.
so that provides a lot of clarity for people oftentimes, and it just makes a brand healthier in the long run.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right, so let's go into the local. Well, I think we talked about local marketing. Let me see. All right, so we talk about your positioning. What if I came to your company and I was an independent or a branded hotel? What are some of the services that you guys provide, and how can you guys help me? Let's pick an independent hotel, just for example.
Yeah.
In like Florida on the beach.
Sure. Yeah. So if you're an existing independent hotel, and oftentimes the people that are reaching out to us are running into a lot of the same issues that we're talking about right now. Maybe they have mixed perceptions in the marketplace. Maybe they have a bad reputation. Maybe they're just not connecting with their guests. Their bookings are down. There's something not clicking. They're not competing in a way that they would like to. And so the process that we most of the time go through with them is a process that we call brand GPS. And just like a GPS system for your car, our GPS system is for your brand. It's helping to drive you from point A to point B. And so that manifests itself in a one to a couple to handful of workshops. Oftentimes we do those on site. More recently, we've been doing those obviously remotely, but so we'll walk them through our brand strategy process of defining, a lot of the things we're talking about now, their position in the market, the guiding principles for the brand, how they want to be perceived, their customers, their, how they can send the right message and narrative to their customers to get them engaged, to get them showing up and excited. You want to get to the point where not only you have brand loyalty with your customers, you have brand advocacy. They're telling their friends, their family, and they're just really excited to do business with you. As well as you want to get to the point where your team is really engaged and, you have all the marching orders for yourself to how to communicate your brand, your vision, and get your team on board as well. That's obviously for a lot of you understand that's a really important thing. So that whole process is kind of the first step, and that's kind of the building block for a reposition for a brand. And so if they want to go through an identity change as well, after that, we would, go through that process of building out a new brand identity and, doing a lot of testing, a lot of, going back and forth. Sometimes we'll do, customer surveys and, get feedback, do some focus groups and things like that. And then beyond that kind of foundational part of the brand strategy and the new identity, that's where it's kind of just implementing it. Basically, you're doing your marketing, you're doing your ongoing brand efforts, focusing on the channels, social media management, and all the things, reputation management, all the things that go into that.
Right. So you guys can help with, let's say I was a brand and now I got rid of my brand, whatever brand it was that I was affiliated with, and now I need to go on my own, because I see a lot of hotels doing that,
Yep.
Especially now where they're like, well, I could kind of do this myself, right? And I've seen a lot of hotels do that in the past unsuccessfully, where they said they were a brand and then like, you know what, I'm not paying all these franchise fees. I'm not going to pay all these different fees. And they try to go on their own, but they missed the mark on it, where their marketing's not in play, their positioning, their branding, they haven't done any of those things. They just changed their name from whatever to now this property, right? And you're like, what did you guys do as far as how are you different, right? And did you put more money to marketing? And they usually say no, like they just kept it the same, right?
Yep.
Or actually reduced it. And so I like that there's companies out there like yours where they can go and get a resource and get expertise on, if they have a 3-star or 4-star or whatever your star rating is, that you can attract those guests to your hotel, right? And do you guys really focus on reviews, and do you kind of explain what to do on social and online as far as descriptions and all those different things
Yes. Yeah.
as a second step?
Yeah. So we do offer, reputation management services as well, that will help, you respond to reviews in a timely manner and then with the right, words to use as well. And then through that brand strategy process too, one of the things that we cover is the tone of the brand and the voice of your or the tone of your brand.
Hmm.
So how do you speak to your customers? If you think of brands out there, you have like if you're on Twitter, you might see like brands like Wendy's or Burger King. They're kind of a little bit more provocative in their tone. They're fun,
Yeah.
they're kind of casual. But then you look at brands, like maybe like a Chick-fil-A that's a little bit more friendly, a little bit more family friendly, approachable, things like that. So you want to find your own tone for your brand. And you want that tone to carry through a lot of the way that you respond to reviews, how you speak to people, how you speak to people in person when they're on your property. When it comes to reputation management, there's definitely proper ways to do it and bad ways to do it as well. So those are things that we help kind of guide our customers through as well, when it comes to maintaining. Again, if going back to the whole idea that your brand is your reputation management is really important. So that's definitely a big piece to the puzzle.
So if a hotel is having an issue and they have really bad reviews online, they have really uh, a horrible or awful online presence, you guys can help them kind of flip that around to like, here's what you need to do. Here are the steps that you need to take. Is that what you kind of also do?
Yeah. So, we've had instances in the past, like you just said, exactly what you just said. Eh, they've had so many bad reviews from either its past ownership or they just want to change the way they're doing things. And sometimes for them, that means just like clean slate, start with a new brand, rebrand everything, and then you can
Hmm.
get it, start over with a new listing. Whereas other people might want to continue with their brand, but just kind of help their reviews get from like 2 stars, to at least, 3, 4 stars. And
Right.
so, um, a lot of times that's just cultivating and curating the way that you get reviews. So it's asking for positive feedback. It's gating reviews. If you get a negative review, instead of sending them right to your listing page, try to have a manager reach out and try to take care of that review right away, because people will be. We've found that people will be gracious with you if you respond quickly and you try to solve the problem as quickly as you can. The problem comes when you're not responding to reviews, even negative reviews. I know they're hard to respond to, and sometimes people want to say things that they probably shouldn't post.
Yes, you feel
But
it. You're like, ah.
but it's still important to respond in the proper way, and there is a proper way to respond. And so, yeah, so that answers that hopefully.
Awesome. We have some good questions here. All right. So, says, let me, yes. How do you go about the brand, for example, lower tier to higher tier hotel? As far as let's say you have a Super 8, now you want to bring it from an economy to a mid scale. Have you done that kind of work in the past?
We haven't done that drastic of a shift, and there's probably a reason for that. I would say that I'm not saying it's impossible to do that, but there is a lot of considerations for someone before they decide to make that move. You know, again, going back to just I would do really in-depth market research into your area and make sure that if you're trying to shift from a budget-friendly hotel to a really high-end hotel or make that drastic of a shift, make sure that you're actually going to have a customer base to support that, a need for that. Make sure that the travelers around there are actually traveling for those reasons that would justify going to a higher end luxury hotel versus a budget hotel. Oftentimes, the placement and the location of a budget hotel is there for a reason.
Hmm.
It's right off the highway. Usually, it's really quick access for people, really convenient. Um, and kind of like we said, going back to positioning, you want to make sure that you're making these decisions based on how you're positioned in the market. So we have done some rebrands where, um, you know, they they still maintained a budget friendly hotel option is where they wanted to be positioned, but they just wanted to make it a little bit nicer and make it be presented more. And they actually wanted to look and appear to compete more with the more national brands, even though they're just independently owned hotel in the market that they're in. So They just needed a little bit of extra help. Again, going back to a lot of the support that people have when they're under a flag is, like you said, marketing, operations. You have all this support backing you up. When you switch to an independent, unless you have all that experience and you have all those systems and processes in place, sometimes that can be a painful transition for people. And so we basically just help them kind of guide them through at least the branding side, the planning, the marketing, and kind of making sure that they're on the right path there. And oftentimes the people we're working with already have an extensive amount of industry experience managing hotels. So yeah, they're good on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I see a lot of hotels right now. Motels, 1970s motels are the thing right now, where people are traveling, they're driving, they're doing the roadside thing.
Yeah.
And if you're a 1970s or 60s or even 80s exterior motel, you might be doing well if you had really good branding and you had a great story. And so I'm going to pull up your book real quick. I actually bookmarked this. It's telling your story through marketing, right? And that's what you're doing it for these. How successful these motels that were kind of like dying all of a sudden resurged because of this story that they told. And so share in your book, it says, telling the story through marketing. Good marketing makes the company look smart, and that's what these hotels and motels are doing. And I love seeing these, like, people love these kind of types of hotels, especially when they're exterior and they're like a throwback to old school, but they have this. It's clean. They've done this great marketing. The property looks good. It's just older, which is okay for a lot of people these days, especially when it's like not going through elevators and taking the stairs instead. I think people feel comfortable. Does anybody else agree? If you have a motel, and we have a few of those, and people like it because they feel comfortable in it. They're not in the hallways with people, right? I think that's important right now too.
Yeah, it's this whole idea, and you probably heard the term affordable luxury. It's those are perfect examples of understanding your positioning, maximizing efficiency for your property. Whether it's the building materials, you can oftentimes in those properties you can have a reduced staff. There's it's this whole concept of less is more, and so people will put when they're redeveloping these or reconfiguring these properties to make them a little bit more luxury offers, that it's still very efficient. So they cut their costs where they need to, and they keep their costs high where they want it to shine through, and they want it to have that wow factor for the property. So these roadside motels and like these repurposing of old properties is really exciting. I love seeing it, and I personally love road trips. So being able to see those come up and grow in popularity has been really neat. And I think people are wanting that too. As you see the recovery of from this pandemic, there's a lot of people just traveling domestically, and the roadside motel and budget friendly hotels like that focus on a lot of like the lower, if you think of like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like it's usually like those lower to mid areas that you're right now, at least you're seeing a lot of hotels market to. And so those are perfectly situated and positioned to just lead the recovery from here on for a while, I would imagine.
Yeah, and Carolina says, is there proof, financial data and proof of good branding and marketing helps with revenue? I could personally tell you yes, and I'm sure you guys see it, where you took one hotel that didn't have anything or didn't have a proper position, they didn't have the proper branding, they didn't have good marketing, they didn't have anything, and you took them from here to A to B, or to A to like all the way, to another number, and then you could see that their revenues jumped up, their rates jumped up, they got better guests. Can you explain what your experience is in this as far as rebranding somebody?
Yeah, I mean, anecdotally, there's a ton of evidence from people we've talked to in the past and relationships we have. We don't do like their revenue is here 3 years ago and now it's here. We don't really do studies like that at Longitude, but there's definitely tons of benefit. And the reason we don't do those studies too is because there's oftentimes with the clients we're working with, there's so many other factors aside from just branding and the work that we're doing that can contribute to that it probably wouldn't even be responsible for us to say that we caused all of that increased revenue. But there's definitely tons of benefits, including in revenue. and I think I even put this in the book. I'd have to look at the page, but um, there's brand loyalty can really increase revenue. Focusing on bringing your guests back more often, and having a plan in place to do that, through your brand strategy, through your reputation management, through your loyalty programs. That is a huge revenue booster for places. A lot of the work we do too. Um, the messaging and the tone that we're creating. People want something to get behind, to believe in, to associate themselves with, to be a part of. And so guests often find um, that if a brand can make them feel a certain way, and they can align their ideals and you know their outlook on life with a certain brand, that they're going to get passionate about that brand. And that's what I talked about earlier, getting to the point where you have brand advocacy. That's where you get to customers not only repeat business, but they're telling their friends, they're inviting people, they're sharing all your posts, they're commenting, they love your brand. And that's the point you want to get to, is where people just want to always engage with your brand. And there's definitely, like I said, anecdotally, there's a ton of evidence that, investing into your brand and your brand strategy and your position and understanding all these principles that we're talking about is vitally important. Also, even going back to, like, employees and staff turnover rates. A lot of the clients we work with, they have their staff loves being a part of the brand. They're proud to be there. They're excited. They're engaged. So, the cost of having to retrain and rehire people is astronomically high oftentimes. So, to be able to mitigate that, to reduce that, is a cost savings for a brand as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking about local marketing. Guys, let us know what local marketing strategies you're using right now at your hotel, because I would like to learn. And then also, the other viewers would like to learn what strategies um, that you're using as far as local, because that's part of your brand strategy as far as marketing and positioning yourself locally. And we're talking about branding. Even if you're with a large national franchise, right? Let's just pick, for example, um, a Hampton Inn, right? Hampton Inn is one of my favorite brands out there as far as they're consistent across the board. People love Hampton Inns, but then also you have to have that local flavor, right? Or even another brand that maybe not everybody loves, right? Or they're not loyal to. You can be that local favorite in your market just by doing your local marketing and your local positioning, like we're talking about, right? And it all comes from service. It all comes from whatever you're sharing on social. It actually translates over to your property too. And so we could talk about, and guys, I would love to hear what marketing strategies you're using. We're using OTA ads. We're using Facebook ads. We're using coupon books, which people are traveling right now. So coupon books are the we're doing social media ads, we're doing the search engine ads. So there's a lot of different things that you could be using along with your brand strategy that makes sense locally. Guys, comment, let us know what you're using. I think Christopher's here, and we'll get to culture in a minute. Christopher asks, do you work with hotels on their sales efforts besides the marketing? And then yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things that they're happening right now as far as trying to get business back, and a lot of that starts with culture. I think it starts with how you offer and how your associates feel, and what kind of service they're going to give after they feel great of working at your hotel. So can you share a little bit about your culture and kind of that aspect of when you're thinking about marketing and branding and positioning?
Yeah, the culture side of a brand strategy is probably one of the more important parts, actually. As we're talking about all of this, it's um, staff is everything, especially to the hospitality industry. Having a healthy staff, people that are excited and won't talk bad about you when they're not at your property.
Yeah.
People that are just just like you have guests that are raving fans, you want staff that are raving fans. And so there's tons of ways that you can do that, even aside from a brand strategy and branding principles. Treating, just the basics of hospitality, treating people kindly, being appreciative, showing gratitude, being present when you're with your team, encouraging, all these different ideas that, obviously just for any healthy team. But what a brand strategy can help with is it kind of when you write something down and you set it in stone and you have these what we call guiding principles, and oftentimes those are, some people might call them core values, some people might call them brand pillars, whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
When you have these, a handful of guiding principles or core values for your team, and you've communicated that to everybody, it holds you accountable, all of you accountable to those guiding principles, and it provides an opportunity for healthier discussions when those core values are not being met or not being manifest in a team member or in a way that you're doing something. And it makes that discussion easier for you and your team to have, because again, going back to accountability, you can say, a team member can even hold you accountable for, if you're not meeting up to those guiding principles, and you can hold team members accountable. And it when everybody is all operating on the same page, on the same wavelength, understanding where you're going, what you're trying to accomplish, and understanding these principles, then just gets them passionate, gets them engaged, it gets them excited. It's, and obviously, like, there's a ton of other factors that play into that, but the branding process and the culture, team building culture part of what we do is vitally important to any business, especially the hospitality, hotels, and restaurants that we're working with.
Yeah, definitely, guys. We're giving away this book before the end of the show, and I see a lot of great comments, guys. Thank you so much. Keep asking your questions, and please comment. And if you're looking at winning this book, let us know where you're watching from, and what one thing that you learned today from the positioning and the branding side of things. And we're talking about local marketing, which I love, because we're part of our brand, national brand, and they do all the national stuff. When we're talking about local, is we're really focused on a lot of different things. I know you do logos and all of those things, but if we already have a brand out there and they already have a logo, like, how do you improve locally? And I'll share some things, and maybe you can share some things too, as far as what we could do. If I already have a logo in my hand, what do I do locally as far as trying to get more business in, and use that logo to attract guests?
Yeah. So if you already have an established brand and an identity and a good position in the market, then it's just a matter of making sure that you're delivering on all of your promises. When we define brand as well, we talk about, a brand is made up of three things. There's what you do, what you say, and how you look. So we work with our customers on all three. Primarily, what you say, the messaging, the narrative, the story you're trying to tell, the tone that you use, how you look, the identity, the collateral, the interior design, the architecture, how you're presenting your staff with their uniforms, all these different things are how you look. And then really the crux of it all is what you do. And that's basically just delivering on your promises, delivering on what you're promising to your guests and to your employees. If you're saying all the right things and you look all the right way and you look the part, but you're not delivering on your promises and on what expectations are, then you're not going to have a healthy brand. You can't, these three things are kind of, if you imagine them like a stool, with three legs, if you remove one, the stool is going to fall over. And so you really have to have all three in place and all three operating effectively. So if you already have a brand that's well established, you have, your team's doing great. You have guests that are excited to be there, and, you're doing all the right things. You have all your operations in place. Then a lot of what we can do is just helping you get your messaging on point and making sure that your identity and the creative around your identity is being presented in the right way to build that reputation. And so making sure that those other two legs are really healthy and not going to fall over. So, that, like I said, that goes through, and that looks like, reputation management. It looks like, social media, looking at, again, reassessing the channels that you're using, doing an audit, making sure that we're using your efforts and your money effectively, doing additional just creative and keeping your brand engaged in the marketplace, making sure it's visible, making sure you're telling the right stories. Oftentimes a lot of hotels, all they post are just pictures of their rooms and that's pretty much it. Or like a picture
or a special.
Basically a lot of hotels get in the route of just always posting an amenity, a photo of an amenity or something, or some feature of their property, which is good. But you also have to tell stories, tell stories of your staff, tell stories of, a customer experience where your team went above and beyond, or a good review, or something in your community that's happening that's, interesting, or, just all these, there's tons of different stories you can be telling to share with people, to connect with them on a human level, not just, here's our 100 features of our property, that you can pull from a bullet list on our website as well. It's just, you want to make sure that you're engaging people in the way that is necessary to create a healthy brand for your property.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think a lot of it goes back to people remember people more than they remember the room. A lot of times, if you can really make a connection with your guests as far as making them feel special, asking extra questions, going above and beyond, right? Doing the extra things that maybe other hotels, your competition wouldn't do, they'll remember you more. And guess what? Then your brand goes further because they start posting reviews. They start telling their friends. They talk about you on social media where they tag you. And there's a lot of things that can help you when you're offering some exceptional service, but it all comes down to that core value and that culture that you set at your hotel, and then keeping it going. Because I see in a lot of hotels, they start with this great idea, then it falls apart. And there actually is a good question. Like, what do you do when we're trying to cut costs within our brand, or the brand's trying to cut the cost? Are there tips for right now when we have this pandemic and we don't have the marketing budget that we did in the past? What can we do? And I'll share some things. I think there's some really cool things you could do just on your own without spending money with a company. But I think there are some things. What are you seeing in your business?
Yeah, I think just like any, even like hotel development project, you want to make sure that you're cutting costs where you need to, you're making efficiencies where you need to. And just like that, in your social media and marketing presence, you need to make sure that you're using your time and money most efficiently. So kind of do a self audit of yourself. And that would probably begin with, again, a lot of the same principles we're talking about. Understand your position in the market. Look at, kind of assess who your guests are, what your ideal guest is. Maybe even make little personas about, your top 3 guests and what they care about, where they are, what social media channels are they on. And then ask yourself, am I communicating through these channels based on what I've just defined as like what they care about, what they, what would appeal to them, what would resonate with them? Is my messaging and my marketing that I'm posting right now, is that actually addressing those things? If not, then you might want to just make a plan in place. You can make a content schedule. This is what we do for our clients. We'll create a monthly content schedule that we know we're going to post, these posts these days with these topics, and we create that, at least a month before, and then we schedule those out. But those are all based on knowing who your audience is, knowing what they care about, knowing what will engage them. And so, that's just one example of basically just auditing yourself, asking yourself some questions about positioning and your customers, and then posting content that's going to resonate with them or matter to them. And so that's just one easy way where, without much, if you're talking about your brand cutting costs, that's something you could just do for on your own time. Just kind of doing a self audit of what you're, where you're spending your money, what sort of return are you getting on that? Is it making a difference? Are people engaging? Are you posting just photos, like I said a minute ago, just posting photos of your property and have no one's commenting, no one's, you're not able to track anything. If that directly relates to direct booking, that's another thing that's important too, is making sure if you're running advertisements, you need to be able to track those, that those are actually converting to a direct booking or a booking in general. Having the processes in place to be able to track that, make sure you're spending your money wisely on things that are trackable and measurable.
Absolutely. And I think video is a huge thing right now as far as just your local marketing. You can do this with your phone. Every video I post on social media across all my channels is through my iPhone, right? Yep. And so there's no expensive equipment right now to buy. There's no big thing to purchase as far as cameras. You have it in your pocket. You have it on your desk. Take advantage of it and start sharing the stories that we're talking about to position yourself to attract people and then convert those people into actual bookings, right? You could talk about what's happening at your hotel right now as far as how you're keeping guests safe. You could talk about the products that you're using, maybe that make people feel that they're all natural. Maybe they feel great that you're using this one brand, right? Like Hilton's using Lysol, and a lot of people use Lysol, right, to keep themselves germ free. So sharing like, hey, this is how we disinfect a room, or this is what we're doing in the lobby. This is how we're keeping guests safe in our kitchen or our breakfast area or our restaurants, right? I think there's some things that you could do locally to help your branding, help your positioning, and that guests will love, and they'll also appreciate, and they'll feel comfortable that you did these things. Because I'm telling you, a lot of hotels, I search hotels all day long. They're not doing these things. So if you take these simple ideas that we're talking about, that Jeremy shared, and that we're putting out there, I think there's some value in it that you don't have to spend the money out there. You don't have to go hire somebody and spend $2,000 or $5,000 to go shoot a 2-minute video, right? It's free right now, basically, right?
Well, yeah, and one fun thing that came to mind too. One of our clients, we actually um, did this for them a few weeks ago. Was we just asked one of their managers to take some photos of their staff, ask them a couple questions. Things, fun questions. Like, well, first we'd ask them what their name is, what their position is, how long they've been working there, and then we'd ask them fun questions like, if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? Or are you a dog person or a cat person? And
Yeah.
just these like fun questions that help you get to know someone. And then so they would take a photo of it and they'd answer all those questions, and then they put that on their social media as like a team spotlight feature.
Yeah,
And
sure.
like, as easy as that, just kind of showing the team behind your, the staff behind your property. One other fun thing that we did was we asked the manager of this property that there was like National Joke Day or something coming up, and so just a fun little way, and this fit the tone and the voice and the brand of this property. So again, you want to be mindful of what your position and your brand is. But for this property, it worked, and so they just filmed one of their team members telling a funny joke, and obviously it was proper and not a bad joke for social media, but it was a fun, and tons of people engaged with it. Their friends shared it. It was just a fun thing for that hotel, and it cost them nothing. And it's just things like that go a long way. And I agree, Rupesh, that video is really, really important, and we're finding that for all of our customers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's some things that you could stay away from that I would not touch, like politics or religion or social standings right now, unless you're really behind it, and and unless you your audience and they're really behind it too. You could lose out on potential business just from saying something wrong, right? You see it all the time. It happens to companies every single day. So you got to look out for those things when you're talking about marketing, branding, and positioning. But this has been great, guys. The book, Jeremy. Any last words on positioning or branding, and how can people reach out to you? And people are already asking, where can they buy the book from? And I know we're going to give away a copy. And I already know who I'm going to pick, because this person has actually been really helpful in the comments. And guys, we give away something every single week. And this week we're giving away this book, Future Hospitality by Jeremy Wells. And it's a book from and hospitality for your hotel. And guys, Jeremy, tell us where people can find you and where people can find this book. And then from there, we'll find or announce the winner.
Yeah. So, and just you just asked like any final thoughts. I would just say real quick that, a lot of hotels find themselves in a rut. A lot of businesses in general, and what we found is if you keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, it's just not going to work for you. And so sometimes you want to take a step back and think, if I want to get my property, my hotel, or my brand to the next level, what are some things that I need to change or do differently or invest in differently? And so I would just, that's kind of an open-ended challenge, I guess, for a lot of people, is just kind of think where they want to be, and what sort of changes they're going to need to make to get to that next level. So yeah, as far as the book, you can find it on our website. And I can post, if you'd like, Rupesh, I could post a link to that in the comments when we're done.
Please
here.
do. Yeah, please do.
And yeah, you can buy it on our website, and then you can find us online. Is that was like your next question was? You can find us.
Yeah, where can people find you online?
Yeah, longitudebranding.com. On Instagram, Longitude Branding, and you can find us on other social networks as well. And then we have a podcast called Future Hospitality as well. So you can check that out on iTunes and Spotify and YouTube. And yeah, feel free to connect with me, message me if you have any questions. I'm always willing to help. So appreciate the
Awesome.
time,
Awesome.
Rupesh.
Thank you so much. This is a great conversation. Wrote down a bunch of tips. Again, every week I'm writing down tips that are just helping my hotels, but then I also repost these and share them with my audience and my network of hospitality folks like you guys. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. The winner of this week's episode, the winner is Carolina, and I don't Barowek. This is her. Carolina, congratulations. You won this book, Jeremy Rose's book, and a $50 gift card to smartguests.com. Congratulations, guys. Everybody congratulate her on winning. She just like really shared a bunch of great insights in the comments, and she just stayed active. And this is how you win. So if you're looking at winning, keep sharing, guys. Keep sharing and keep asking great questions. And please join us next week. Jeremy, it was great having you on the show. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, I'll see you. Guys, I am so sorry. My internet's spotty at best, and I feel like I'm gonna probably have to redo my internet that I just did about a month and a half ago and figure out what's going on, and maybe I have to direct connect instead of doing the Wi-Fi. You know how that goes. It's always something or another. But hey, we keep going with the flow, right? And that's what we did at the show. I wrote down a bunch of ideas and tips for my hotels, and I'm going to be reposting these as the week continues. Guys, if you like this episode, hit the like button right now and congratulate Carolina. She just won a $50 gift card to smartguests.com. Guys, don't forget, smartguests.com is our sponsor. This week, and hit up SmartGuest for all your operations, customer service, marketing, communication tools, print collateral for your hotel, and see if there's anything else that I missed. No, I think that's it. Guys, next week, we have somebody that has helped all of us. You know him. I know him really well. He's going to be on the show next week. I'm not going to say who it is. You just keep guessing. Maybe you can guess in the comments who you think it is. He's he's been to the White House in the last a couple months and helped our industry on our behalf. And I'm super excited to speak with him next week. And understand what's going on in the industry and really understand how we're going to continue growing and how we're going to recover from this. And guys, thank you so much for joining me here on this episode this week. I will see you next week. Guys, take care of each other and take care of yourself. Talk to you soon. Bye.